Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is El. I am Game Over Man, the Soaring Eagle, and thank you so much for joining me today. Could the Nintendo Switch Pro or XL be something that is real? Now, I'm gonna get into this very quickly for you so that I don't really waste your time. Digital Foundry did do a podcast, and some of their analysts basically looked at the Zelda Breath of the Wild, the trailer, and pretty much came to the conclusion that it is very possible that this game, or the trailer that we saw, the most recent one, I should say that properly, the most recent one was running on more than just regular Switch hardware, which is possible. I'm going to go through the quotes basically from the podcast that I've gotten from the website T3, just to basically give you an idea of what is happening, and then I will give you my thoughts on this whole scenario with Breath of the Wild, the sequel, and the idea of the Switch Pro. So let's get into the quotes. You will see them on the screen, so I'm not misquoting anything for you, but I'm going to read it here for you. And it starts like this. This trailer was interesting because the image quality seemed quite good. I was a little bit surprised by how sharp and clear this looked compared to the original in general, said Linneman. And just so you're aware, the podcast is run by three people, Richard Ledbetter, John Linneman, and Alex Battaglia, or Battaglia. I'm not sure how to say that name, so Alex, if you do end up watching this at some point in your life, I apologize. I'm real sorry. So, that's what Linman said. Ledbetter added, it's up for debate whether it is actually running on the normal Switch hardware, which gives us all the idea that it is possibly coming onto a Switch Pro or XL system. Whatever they do decide to call it, could be the Switch 2, who really knows? But let's get into something further here, which is that Battaglia then added to this basically by saying, I honestly don't think it is, as in it is running on the Switch hardware, just because we have seen so very rarely volumetric clouds on Switch, and these are not breaking down super obviously. Another thing that was really obvious in the trailer was camera cuts have like perfect anti-aliasing, which is even rare for an Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5 game. I don't know what that means necessarily. It could be the next Switch, and obviously this is the quote, or these are the quotes that basically get everyone thinking that this could be coming to the Switch Pro or Switch XL or Switch 2, whatever you think it's going to be called. Some of you don't even think that this thing exists, and it could just be the very next Switch hardware, the next generation of Switches, or whatever Nintendo's bringing out. And that is entirely possible, okay? I'm not going to defeat that or poo-poo that idea that that's what's going to be happening, but I do think that, and I have been a very loud supporter of the idea of a Nintendo Switch Pro, just based on, or the Switch XL, which is what I reckon if they were going to do anything Pro-like, that's what they would call it. And if you want to watch, there are previous videos that I have released that basically go through why I think that that is a very credible option for Nintendo to go through, and it's not just based on money or monetary gain, by the way. But let's get into this. I really think, and I've thought about this for ages, if you look at the systems that we've had, you've got the Mario edition, or the different editions, sorry, I should say, of this, and over time, you've seen how there have been different editions for the different consoles Nintendo has had. The one edition we have not had on this, for this console, for this generation for Nintendo, is the Zelda edition, and there's a reason that I think that that's what's going to happen. I honestly believe that what they're going to do is release the Nintendo Switch Pro /XL/2, whatever you call it, with Breath of the Wild, the sequel. And the reason that I think that that is delayed, and that's probably one other bigger hint too, I feel like it could add to the idea of, A, not only are they making the game better, the sequel to Breath of the Wild, I'm sure they could be working on that. That's great. That would be epic, and I'm sure everyone will love that. But at the same time, I think that it gives them more time to either, A, develop more units that are the Switch XL, or to actually work on getting us a better Nintendo Switch, which they would then likely name the Switch XL or Pro, whatever you want to call it. But that model of Switch, and that I think will be released concurrently with the next Breath of the Wild game. In a Zelda edition, I don't think that Nintendo is going to miss the opportunity, especially considering that they did miss that opportunity with the 35th anniversary. I really strongly believe that what they're going to do is they're going to release Breath of the Wild, the sequel, with a Nintendo Zelda Switch edition come out alongside it, so you can get all of that in one fun go. I really think that's what they're going to do. If you think that that's what they're going to do, what do you reckon? Down below in that comment section is where you leave that. Hit the subscribe button and hit the like button as well if you haven't already. If you enjoy this content, if you disagree with me, you think Nintendo doesn't need to release a Nintendo Switch Pro, that the Switch is awesomely selling, why would you divide a fan base? That's fine. I completely understand that thought pattern. That makes sense. But what do you think down below? Let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is El. I am Game Over Man, the Soaring Eagle, and I don't want you to forget that it's
game over, man. It's game over.
Court's adjourned.